Think about it. You have no cranes, no concrete, and not even a calculator. But you have thousands of tons of stone, and you need to stack them on top of a hill to build a structure that no enemy can enter. This is exactly what medieval architects did. These massive stone buildings, many of which are still standing today, are the result of hundreds of people working for years. So how were these castles made? Where did they start? Who built them? Let's dive in. When you imagine a medieval castle, you probably think of big stone walls, but it actually started much simpler. In the 9th and 10th centuries, the first castles in Europe were mostly made of wood. The method was simple. First, earth was dug up to create a man-made hill called a motte. A wooden tower was built on top of the hill, and a fenced courtyard called a bailey was added below. This Motte and Bailey system was the most common design of the time. They were fast to build, which made them practical. But there was one problem. They burned. A few fire arrows or torches could turn years of work into ashes in hours. The solution was clear. Stone. Building a stone castle was much more expensive and took a lot longer. That's why the first step was vital, picking the right spot. Castle lords usually looked for high ground, a hill, a cliff, or a volcanic rock was preferred. Edinburgh Castle was built exactly on such a rock. Water sources. To survive long sieges, fresh water inside or near the castle was a must. Strategic control. Road junctions, river crossings, and bridges. Whoever controlled the castle controlled the region. Natural barriers. Rivers, swamps, or deep valleys created natural defense lines. The architects of the Middle Ages were a mix of engineers and builders. They were called master masons. These masters usually drew the castle plans on parchment. The plan included the central tower, keep, curtain walls, towers, the gatehouse, the moat, and courtyards. One of the most famous architects was James of St. George, who designed castles in Wales for King Edward I. When the design was ready, thousands of people were hired: stone cutters, carpenters, blacksmiths, diggers, and laborers. A large castle project could involve about 3,000 people working at once. Everything started with the foundation. Workers cleared trees, rocks, and soil. Then, deep trenches were dug according to the shape of the walls and towers. The goal was to reach solid bedrock. If the rock was too deep, wide trenches were dug and filled with packed rubble stone. Walls that could rise 12 meters high and be several meters thick would be built on this foundation. The stronger the foundation, the longer the castle lasted. They used simple tools like picks and wooden shovels, yet these buildings are still standing 800 years later. After the foundation, it was time for the walls. Masons stacked stones in horizontal layers. The outer surfaces were made of smooth ashlar blocks, while the middle was filled with rubble and lime mortar. Lime mortar was made by burning limestone and mixing it with sand and water. However, it had a problem. It froze in cold weather. Therefore, construction stopped during winter. Most walls were 2 to 4 meters thick, but in royal castles, they could reach 5 or even 8 meters. To lift these heavy stones, they used human-powered treadwheel cranes and wooden scaffolding. As the walls were finished, the central tower, or keep, also called a donjon, was built. This was the heart of the castle. Built at the highest point, this tower was both the lord's home and the last line of defense. Its walls were even thicker than the outer walls. Inside, there was a great hall, private rooms, storage, and sometimes a small chapel. Round towers were eventually built at the corners because they provided better protection. While stones or arrows could hit the corners of square towers, they would simply slide off curved surfaces. The gate was the most critical point because if the enemy got inside, it was over. The gatehouse was the most fortified part. Heavy wooden doors, often covered with metal. The portcullis, a heavy iron or wooden gate that could be lowered quickly. Murder holes, holes in the ceiling where boiling oil, stones, or hot sand could be dropped on enemies. The moat under the bridge, which stopped siege towers and tunnel diggers. Building a medieval castle was incredibly expensive. King Edward I spent about £100,000 on his castle projects in Wales. In today's money, that is about £124 million. The royal treasury almost went bankrupt. Completing a stone castle took an average of 4 to 10 years, and complex structures could take up to 20 years. All this time and money was spent because a castle was more than a building. It was a symbol of power, a shelter, and a center of government. Today, many of these castles are tourist attractions, museums, or ruins. But those still standing tell us something important. Even without modern machines, it is possible to build structures that last for generations using only human intelligence, muscle, and patience. Most of the craftsmen who built them are forgotten by history, but their work still speaks to us hundreds of years later. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the like button. Follow the channel for more medieval history. See you in the next video.